afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all to the TechIt webinar. Thank you for joining the session today. The topic of today's talk is virtual reality, potential applications in the enterprise. It will be a 1-hour session with around 40 to 45 minutes for the presentation and the remaining time for the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please send them to us using the questions tab on the GoToWebinar control panel. I'm Sava, the moderator of this session, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our guest speaker, Dhanashree Dalal, Senior Manager, Accenture. Dhanashree has more than 16 years experience in IT. She has experience in software development, architecture, and innovating, along with strategizing and growing niche skills. She is also an Accenture certified technical architect and the practice lead for front-end development under Digital Accenture Interactive. She is inclined towards innovation and has pioneered skills HTML5, virtual reality, and augmented reality at the India Delivery Center at Accenture. So without any further delay, let me introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Dhanashree.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. So we will be talking about virtual experience in virtual reality, augmented reality and mixed reality flavors of it. I'll quickly run you through the agenda. So we would be basically talking about, is it really a future? Is it something that we as a developer community or in a software industry, should we be really thinking about it seriously? Then we would talk about what are the different flavors of virtual experience, AR, VR, MR. What are the devices which are typically considered to basically help us deliver these kind of experiences? And towards the end, we will talk about the use cases that are typically applicable or can be considered with this new set of technology. It is, at least from the various research groups that are available, like IDC, Gartner, Forrester, and like a couple others. All of them are definitely quoting that it's around $162 billion of market till 2020. Now the question comes: is this the really the market for software development, or is it majorly catering to the hardwares that are coming in picture, like head-mounted displays and a bulk of other things coming in market, or will it have a serious software development as well? So according to IDC, because hardware has already gone really high, so in FY16, or rather 2016, 70% of the revenue got generated through head-mounted display itself. Would increase, which means these devices are in the market. Sooner or later, the audience will start looking forward to having relevant applications which will run on these head-mounted displays or other augmented reality-enabled phones, and hence the share of software will increase sooner. Then coming to whether it is a serious enterprise business, because when anybody thinks of AR, VR, even as on date today, in spite of it has like really gone high. So if you look at the YouTube post, maybe between 2014 till 2016, even mid of 2016, you would not see too many uploaded examples of it. But then if you go and look at it 2016, like June 2016 onwards, like practically every day, alternate day, there is someone or other who is coming up with the practical usage of these technologies in the day-to-day world and enterprise use cases. So yes, there is going to be it is going to cross the boundary of just being a technology for games or entertainment media, but to a serious business like enterprise application being developed using these technologies. Why do we think so? I think practically in every conferences that are happening, the biggest one is like CES conference that happened, even at Mobile World Congress conference. So all the big conferences that happen across the globe are very actively displaying stalls which are eventually depicting the usage of these technologies that will come in picture. Who is actually helping or enabling to keep these technologies in the market being talked about is I would say good, like these giants like Facebook, Google, Microsoft. They are heavily actually keeping the market active. So everyone knows that Facebook, when they actually acquired Oculus Rift as a like device company, um, and that too at $2 billion, which was a much talked about event because somebody like Facebook would definitely not take a decision to buy a startup which is really small at $2 billion. So that definitely was a turning point, I would say, in the sense the discussion started flooding in, thinking that why and where is the potential for business in that space. Now, Google, I think Google was always there because Google Glass was launched. Google Glass was a very initial stage of augmented reality coming in picture, and that's where uh, they have heavily invested into their Daydream platform. They do have Project Tango, which is basically launching the phone with more VR-enabled hardware added into that phone, along with which is Android 7 Nugget, which is revamped to take care of AR/VR kind of specification. Microsoft, we know they have been heavily investing into HoloLens and it's a state-of-art product which is for mixed reality. Although costlier, I think they also got into a VR device launch recently. And Apple is not behind. Apple has acquired a couple of companies, hired some people to basically decide on their strategy on how they want to play in this field. So in the market, there is a lot of traction going in, and hence it makes sense for all of us to get aligned to what is upcoming and have a know-how about it. With that, I'll move to the. So I think what I'll do is, if at all there are any questions, I'll take it towards the end. I hope there are no questions. Okay, fine. So moving to the basics before we get into more discussion on AR, VR, MR, it's basically when you think of virtual reality, it's basically immersive experience wherein you are completely cut from your real environment. So you enter into a altogether a new world where everything is sort of a digital asset that is created. It could be exact replica of your real world, or it could be something which is artificially created, which you may really want to be into. Um, and that's where virtual reality is sort of getting you away from the thing, and that's where the head-mounted displays like Samsung Gear or Oculus Rift come in picture, which once you wear those head-mounted displays, you are cut from the reality. When it comes to the augmented reality, actually there are two flavors to it. In the sense, whatever virtual world you have created, let's say if I'm in a room, in that room I want to actually label certain things so that somebody who's walking into that virtual room knows that why I have placed certain devices at certain places and what is the function of that. So what I'm doing eventually is I'm augmented the reality with more information so that nobody actually needs to be there in the room with that person telling him or her that why XYZ things are lying in the room. So what you're doing eventually is you have a virtual real world. You augment certain things on top of it basis the events that are being captured. So if I walk close to the TV screen over there, maybe a video gets started on the TV screen, or if I walk to certain things, or if I look left, right. So those kind of the events that I will track, and eventually I will augment the information basis the interaction I'm doing in the virtual world. So that's one flavor of augmented reality. The another flavor of augmented reality is wherein I use my mobile phone. So I am using my mobile phone camera as the eye of my application, which is basically giving me the input of the real world. I can scan image. Obviously, there will be artificial intelligence baked in or machine learning baked in at the back end, which tells me, like a human brain, actually receives signals from our eye. In this case, your mobile phone camera is giving that signals, and your engine at the back end is telling you that what you have captured is the image of XYZ object. And this is, again, the interactions that I have coded in my application, it will augment certain things on it. So the example could be, I'm on the street, I want to know the ATMs for ABC Bank, I have the bank app, it is capturing the GPS location, and on the given road that I have, it is actually plotting or augmenting the ATM icons over there so that I can actually go and look at it. So again, the devices that are enabling augmented reality would be primarily the mobile phones and mobile phone specifications in terms of hardware, and the operating system are getting enhanced. Google has worked extensively on that, and that's where new Google Tango enabled phones like released by Lenovo or Google themselves have released a phone would have heavy precision, which will be enabled to track events in the virtual world. Then the third flavor of reality, virtual experience, I would say, is mixed reality, wherein you are still in the real world. You are not cut down from the real world like you do in the virtual reality, but then you eventually have the 3D objects coming in your real world as if there is an object, um, real object. So you're eventually having a digital asset placed in your real world with which you can interact. And that may not be physically present over there. And this is really interesting part of it, wherein again there are like two devices which are enabling that. One is Microsoft HoloLens, which actually scans the room. It creates the room 3D model on the fly. Then if you have a chair placed in the room, it will not place the new digital object on the chair because it knows there is an object over there. It will eventually add another object. It could be a human being, completely like representing a robot over there, or some person avatar coming in picture, or it could be a completely different object which you need over there to be placed. So, and you can actually move these objects with hand movements into the virtual space. Um, I would say I will correct myself. It's not virtual; it's real space. So you are in the real room. You are with the real objects. You are adding new digital objects, and you can play around with them in the real environment. So that's the benefit of it. Google Tango is another enabling you to add the objects in the virtual world, but then there, like HoloLens, you don't need to wear it on your head. It is your mobile phone which does the magic. So yeah, with that I'll move that when which flavor should be used when. That's the ask, and just to summarize, like I call it as virtual experience because um, everything eventually is an experience, and it rolls under, like it breaks into three flavors. So VR typically makes more sense when you want a person to get into an immersive environment. So there could be training scenarios, and because when you are in the immersive environment, you actually lose touch with reality, and you feel the emotions that you could feel in the real environment. These are used where you want to treat some psychological disorders, or you want to give a person an experience like empathy creation, or you want a person to do certain trainings which are like decision making trainings. So for example, a military person when on the battlefield um, will do certain decisions on the fly. They may be right, they may not, they may be wrong, but the only way to test them is go on the battlefield and do it. But in case of virtual environment, immersive environment, you can actually make them go through similar situations and then eventually take the decisions, analyze the decisions, and probably correct them when they land in reality. And not only in case of military, any heavy equipment maintenance plant where heavy machineries are loaded, and any mistake you do while doing operations on the heavy machinery could cost a big like life loss, or even loss of machinery, like highly costed machinery or danger. So all of those kind of scenarios can be taken care through VR. AR and MR are more making sense when you need contextual information always being passed through, and then basis that you change the path. So for example, I would basically want uh, my sales representative to take certain decisions basis where they are, what is their current list of tasks that they want to work on, what is the context in which they are selling the product, like who's the end client to which they are selling the product. And this is this information I would like to them to perform certain actions and activities, and then proceed further. Then I would definitely prefer AR. MR definitely is the extension of AR, wherein uh, you would like to, so for example, digital twin, wherein I actually want to perform an operation on a heavy machine, which I don't know ABCD about it. I may have given a training plan, but it's a verbal training plan. And when I actually perform that training, I'm not at all sure that if I'm going to click the right set of options on that machine in one go. In that case, I am actually creating a digital twin of that machine. I'm actually doing some actions, activities onto it in the virtual environment, and only if I do it right in the virtual environment or on a digital object, then only I will go and perform it in the real object. So chances of errors are reduced drastically in this case, and that's the benefit of it. Um, so while we are talking all of this, is this the only solution, and is it something that like going to completely take away reality from us? Probably answer is no, because there are still some challenges at this point of time with these technologies, and specifically the immersive ones, where you cut yourself from the reality completely, and yeah, eventually it is stimulating your emotions although where you are not. So even if you are not at a height, you feel that you are at a enough height, or you are at a risky danger environment, and that puts a lot of pressure on the brain and ability to take decisions and all that, and it has some impact around it, like you will feel nauseatic, or you may feel hip pain and something like that. So I think it's a niche thing, and it has its own way to go forward. But then these are some things which we can basically really take a look at when we are building AR/VR applications. Now, the typical question that comes in is, are you serious? Did you really think that I as an enterprise should invest in this technology? We as an enterprise should really do it. Is it just a fancy kid that some new technology came in the market and I want to do a POC and hence I'm doing it, but there's no future to it. So it is definitely being considered as serious business, and our Accenture research team has conducted research taking some 55 companies, and we saw that basically these companies are spread it across industry group, and you can see that like majorly hospitality services, retail, these are eventually like doing the investment into AR/VR. Uh, Apart from that, I would say if we go into the industry-wise breakup of AR/VR use cases, we majorly see like goods companies are like consumer goods companies are heavy users of it. Then we can also see hospitality services, which is like travel industry and all, that is going to heavily use it. Telecommunications is looking forward to it, and likewise even life sciences as well is pretty much looking forward to it in terms of reducing their expenses wherever they are. So, for example, I as a pharma company, if I have to set up a hefty lab, it is like crores of investment that they do into. Any mistakes in the planning or the layout is a heavy cost for change. So they actually prefer that they're doing this planning in the virtual environment and then signing up for the plan, because you can actually immerse into that lab and see the practical ground like issues that one may have in that case. Um, so apart from that, I think before going there, one of the key observations when we did across industry studies and we actually decided for the companies as well, it was coming very obvious that training and marketing, these are the cutting across uh, uh, like use cases which are cross industry use cases. So every industry will need training support to enable or increase the efficiency of their employees or end users, customers to whom they are supplying the product. And marketing definitely is another area which is like which would actually want to leverage this as a new medium to to do the marketing better, right? So moving on to the next slide, what we have delivered at Accenture is we have delivered a use case to BMW, and like these are publicly listed use cases wherein I have also given the URL for the news releases that we had around it. So for BMW, we have actually used Google Tango, and then we have created augmented reality-based marketing application wherein um, the user or the customer potential prospect of BMW can see the model of a particular car. It comes in the environment live. So you just target your phone, the car comes live in real size and shape, and you can actually move around the car. You can sit inside the car. You can change the color of the car, see the interiors, and you can actually customize few features of the car as well. Um, so that is definitely increasing, enhancing my experience. And when I'm gonna buy this hefty, costly car, I'm getting lot many levers to customize it as per my needs and requirements. Then basically we have delivered a proof of concept for National Rugby Championship, where it's a virtual board that comes in play for the viewer of the match, who can actually wear a cardboard or a gear and see the the playground, and he can actually get real updates from the field directly. So that's a virtual reality implementation of it. And for mixed reality, we have actually helped airplane company Bombardier to basically uh, create a mixed reality, which is HoloLens based app, wherein they can actually go and see the engine of the car or of the aircraft, do some changes, like understand what are the list of tasks that field worker on the ground is supposed to do. He understands how he is supposed to do it, and then with that help, because that help is available to me in the virtual world, and because it is HoloLens, I can see the real engine on the field as well. I'm getting the training aid or assistance live, which definitely increases and enhances my efficiency. So yeah, these are the like we definitely have built many than what I've listed over here. But then these are the ones which have gone press releases. They're available on the internet to go through and look into it. So as I said, primarily the use cases that would make more sense in the enterprise world at this point of time, at least, are dwelling between the training and the marketing use cases, and which are like cross industry. It does not have limitation of any industry group at this point of time. All right, so with that, I think I will pause, and maybe we can open up it for questions. Let me see if any questions over there. Okay. So I'll go on the questions. So there is a question from Pravin Srinivasan. How business owners have to do if they want to use VR in their business? Okay. So I would say if a business owner really want to think VR in their business, so first thing first, you need to understand and enable them in the sense of like what is the right flavor, because uh, right now in the market what everyone understands is virtual reality, but on the ground when you go deep dive there are three flavors of it, and each of the flavor has its own benefit, pros and cons, which we discussed already. So first thing is who is the targeted audience, what is the objective that they want to achieve, and what flavor of virtual experience will be applicable in their case, and that will actually enable to take the discussions further. Okay, then and maybe Praveen, you may answer if I answered your question. Otherwise, we can go more in detail. Um, Then the next question is, how can you please, can you please give the examples for each technology? I think I did give that. I hope I have given the answer already. Please let me know if it is, uh, if I need to elaborate further. Yeah. Then in AR, uh, can we interact with custom created objects? Yes, we can. And I'm assuming these custom created objects are the 3D models that we are going to place in picture. And yeah, that's the whole intent. So whenever we are, so when we look at it from the programming side, you would eventually use tools like Unity 3D, or Wikitude or Vuforia. These are the languages or libraries, SDKs that you will eventually use to make sure that the new objects that you have added, they interact with each other. That's the whole intent of building the application. Bharat has asked, is it a real-time database? Probably, Bharat, if you can elaborate your question, that will be helpful. But from my understanding, yes, you can integrate it with any like backend. Eventually, it's just a front end that we are talking about. But on the ground, you will integrate it with the entire digital architecture that you will have in backend. So, just okay. Fine. The next question is, can we use IoT for implementing virtual reality? As I said, I think it's going to be interacting with all sort of backends because eventually the intent is to create new user interface. So, for example, when we initially had keyboard-driven interactions, then with iPad we moved to touch-driven interaction, and now we are basically getting into immersive interactions where you are actually just focusing on something and then giving a signal that I want to select this particular object. So it's a very natural interaction that we otherwise have in our real world, and that's what we are heading to. But eventually, for me to get the data in the real environment, I will need all sort of sensors and technologies to give me that data. So it will work with CMS, it will work with IoT, it will work with e-commerce system to give you all sort of inputs. Okay. There is a question from HTML5 viewer user. How the industry provide the needed computational power for virtual reality engine? Yeah, that's a good question, and that's where I said that Google and Microsoft, and these are the companies, HTC, these are the companies who are actually doing a lot of innovation and R&D and investment in creating the right hardware, which will support this heavy graphics, because we are moving towards a heavy graphics when we talk about virtual world or even in the augmented world. Google's Daydream project is a promising project where they have like come up with what are the hardware improvements that are needed in the phone hardware, and like the Android 7 is actually having all the enhancements to capture that events that will get generated through your hardware. And now all the phone manufacturers are definitely will be moving to implementing those specifications in the newer phones that are going to come. So Lenovo and Google Pixel are some of the phones which are already enabled with these new specifications. Okay, Guru, may I know more use cases from BFSI perspective? So from finance, yes, there are quite a few use cases wherein Neatly would fit into the marketing side of it or data visualization part of it, wherein you really want to analyze the financial data in much better depth, which otherwise is a challenge on a simple 2D screen that you have, because at the max you can have a laptop screen that's as big as screen that is available to you to view the data, and which means that you can show maybe 5, 10, 6 or whatever charts onto it, but not beyond that, and anything beyond that you have to move to the next page. So if you really want it to be immersive and analytical experience, probably you can leverage all these tools, AR, VR, MR, which is giving you, and preferably VR and Microsoft HoloLens, which is like giving you 180 degree of availability of space to go in much detail. And then, yeah, marketing use cases are where you actually tell your customer immersive journey, how they're going through and all that. Shubham Mishra, so I think Shubham Mishra has asked which is the best framework for AR VR. At the moment, at least, and yeah, no recommendation as such, but then whatever we have done as comparison, Unity 3D seems to be um, like it's a gaming engine, it's a IDE, which is basically enabling us to do do the work, and it is fast platform in the sense that it eventually enables it to put to captured by HTC Vive or events which are captured by Samsung Gear. So from that perspective, yes, Unity 3 is something that we are seeing is performing better. But then yeah, there are others like Wikitude and Vuforia, and few other like custom products which will enable you to do so. Um, then which programmatic language involved in this technology? I would say this is a question from Vinodini Nagarajan. Um, so for HoloLens, it's more of C hash heavy. Unity 3D also eventually works on C hash. There are some products which work on Python, but majorly anybody who knows scripting language uh, can actually scale up on this. And yeah, some Unity 3D has a Flash kind of working environment. So if you have worked in Flash earlier, then probably it will be easy for you to move to this. But as such, anybody who knows OOPS concept language and has a scripting knowledge can pick it up. C hash definitely is easy. Like for a C hash developer, it is easy to pick up Unity 3D because majority of the scripting happens in C hash within. Okay. Just a second. So, okay, Praveen has asked, VR will be disruptive technology in future. Looks like, no quotations, but looking at the research, looking at uh, the current trend, and there are use cases that are already launched by good amount of like companies, and the forums that are happening, the brainstorming that is happening to embrace this technology as a front end uh, is in uh, I would say it has really geared up in last 6 months, and it is definitely looking as promising technology to invest into. So the question is, from Guru, can this be treated as another channel? What additional components, technology required at enterprise side? As I said, it's a front end. So for example, if any of you are from the HTML5 or Angular side, then you can just relate it to a different front end. It's a different front end technology, which is eventually can be clubbed with any other backend. Yes, there are some challenges with Unity 3D, which is a scaled up version to support this kind of application at this point of time. But then there are some integration challenges to consume the dynamic data. But yeah, with the uh, evolution of these technologies and ask in the market, I think that should all phase out. But practically, uh, it's just another front-end mechanism. So if you think of augmented reality applications, they are just making your user experience better, which means that today if I have to type www.google.com and then upload an image and then ask that what image it is. I am just putting my camera in front of something and then it is giving me uh, a reply that the image that you have scanned is a car or is a scooter or whatever, or the model of that is XYZ. It got manufactured in this. So it is basically giving you all the contextual information without you doing or typing or navigating too much in the system. So it could be the new front end way. Excuse me. So yeah, question from Pate maybe is what was primary motive of introducing AR, VR, MR in the start? Are they invented to boost software industry primarily? So it's actually interesting to know that AR, VR, MR is existing in the industry since 1955. Um, like every decade, there was a hype that came in. They were sophisticated immersive applications created, and I would say gaming industry, if you know what is it's already now, because primary reason is we didn't have the hardware which is easily available with common man. So initially, when these kind of efforts were made and products were launched, these were really hefty products which needed hefty hardware and a lot of cost, and they were static in nature, like a kiosk or something like that, which didn't give that ability to scale it up. With like iPad coming in and then this all the mobile evolution that we had in last 5 years, your mobile is as good as a mini computer and it has all the support to render the best in quality graphics. It has good processing power. It has good RAM. So all of that has given the boost to get this back in the prime stream again. Was it never before? Answer is no. It was always there since 1950s and 60s onwards. Only thing is the limitation on availability of the technology with common people. So there's a question from Vishal Kumar, just saying, I want to clear one thing that VR headphone available in the market for mobile virtual reality is VR MR. So the head-mounted displays that are available in the market are basically virtual reality thing. You will not get anything in MR. The mixed reality is provided by HoloLens, which is very costly, and it's not available in bulk. Also in the market, there are like serious checks that they do before you order HoloLens, and the other version of MI you can go with like get with the Google Tango enabled phones, which is a Lenovo model, and another is Google Pixel. But yeah, those are still a little costlier. I would I would say at this point of time. Okay, then Praveen has asked the question, what is the first step that business owner think he or she wants to implement VR in their business? So, as I said, I think we as a either as a business owner or as a individual who can generate a lead around it could be you need to think that when it makes more sense. For example, the training use case that we talked about, that heavy equipment, I don't have time to train my people, and you know what, the automobile industry or any industry, manufacturing industry, the workers are not are not trained the way we train people in IT. Like we invest heavily huge amount of time in getting a person trained and getting ready for the job. There the time is limitation, and cost also is a limitation, and hence training also are not exhaustive. But then the side effect of that are really bad. If somebody makes a mistake, the person's life is at risk. From company standpoint, they have to bear the insurance cost for that person. Your machinery is gone for toss. You have to replace lakhs and crores of machinery all over again. So, if I have to actually sell this to someone in that industry, I would say that some of your costs that are wasted because the employee was not enabled on certain aspects or given proper training, and the side effects if you don't do things right. If you compare that cost versus the cost of creating a VR application, which is return on investment, then it's really tiny cost that you're putting in. So that's where I would think about it. Then augmented reality based marketing, wherein basically I look at let's say a ketchup bottle today, and then I will eventually get some information related to health along with it, which is just looking at the bottle, I get that information. Then it is definitely helping me to buy that because it is giving me some good statistics around it. It is actually answering my questions, which otherwise the only way left with me is to try multiple brands and then go for it. So eventually you are enabling your potential customer with information which is very handy. You are not asking them to go and log into a URL or click on a URL and read this page, and so it's a human readable information which can be consumed faster and that can be given over there. Okay, so then we have a question from Vishal Kumar. According to last example, you shown MR example in the dummy wear kind of VR, and that one mentioned in our section. Sure, I'm not sure what the question is. Probably you can write that. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Varsha is asking one question around examples are discussed, but can you further explain the live applications? I think the examples that I've shown on the slide are the live examples. They are up and running with our clients and being used. There are marketing applications like where you can actually recognize the object, and basis that it gives you. So for example, for Coca-Cola can, there is a campaign which is run using augmented reality, wherein whenever you look at the Coca-Cola can, it will actually start a music player, and that gives you bulk of information, which eventually has enabled to increase the sales for Coca-Cola. Then similar to that, there are virtual stores that are being launched wherein your space for actual inventory is reduced, and that is basically getting replaced by a virtual world, which practically doesn't need anything in the physical world. It is just that you wear the head mounted display and you are into the virtual store, and you can actually replace as many as selling products that you want. Like you can change the brands of the product, you can change the uh, different like category of the products without actually investing into those products and inventory and warehouses requirement into it. So fine, I think there's another question from Harish, which is what things I need to take care as developer or iOS developer. So as I said, at least Unity 3D is cross-platform right now. So you need to actually use it. But for using Unity 3D, CH is the language, which I think Objective-C developer can also quickly learn. And Unity 3D has this unique feature that it can actually get the app ported to Android as well as iOS. So eventually whatever you are creating will get ported on the both the operating systems, and it will be cross-platform. So yeah, maybe knowing C hash is something that you'll have to look into. So I think we are pretty much done with the questions. If there are any questions, maybe please feel free to type in over here. Otherwise, we're towards the end of the session. And yeah. So over to you, Sudha.
Thank you so much, Dhanashree, for this really empowering and motivating session today. Thank you everyone for joining us.